It's been a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest with you. I can't believe that we're already sort of almost 3 years in to this administration, and really steep learning curve. But I feel that this administration has achieved quite a lot. I think a lot of people take for granted things like the increase in the minimum wage, the introduction of a living wage, some of the real things that have affected local people. But we need to do far more, and I think what most people will see the next 2 years is an acceleration of that change. There's been a lot of foundation laid, but we need to do an awful lot more now to actually bring those results and actually let people see what's been achieved. I mean, it was very important for me coming through, I suppose, as a doctor, and I was quite open about it in my manifesto that it was something I wanted to deal with. I apologise to those women who've had to wait so long for abortion services on the Isle of Man, but I think we've got there at the start. They now need to develop, and what I'm really keen on doing is making sure that we audit the services we get and we try to provide as good a service as we can on the Isle of Man for local women. So one of the things I'll be asking for in 10 or 12 months' time is for one of the Tynwald committees to look at the service, to audit it, to evaluate it, to ask women what their experience was, to make sure that that's as good as possible. One of my roles as an MHK was not to get involved into the micromanagement of the health service. I've always been quite clear about that unless they wanted my input. What happened when the service went live was, as you say, a little bit of confusion. I think that the Department of Health at the time was going through a lot of changes with the various reports and various configurations, and I don't think their press statement got out in time. What is happening right now on the Isle of Man is certainly medical terminations are being offered to women who need them on request through Nobles Hospital. For women who need surgical terminations, I think if necessary they are still being provided off island through BPAS. However, the arrangement and the expense of that, which was a real limiting factor on some women on low incomes, is being met by our NHS. So I think that's certainly a move forward. What we need to do, though, over the next couple of years is actually do the training, do the investment in local services, not just with abortion, but right across reproductive health care. That's a really good question, and I could be really political and say all of them. Climate change is a major aspect. Major. I mean, it's not just one policy. It's changing the way we do everything. It's changing the way we live. It would be a massive cultural change as well as business change and financial change for us, and so we need to get that right. And I think you was talking earlier about how do you deal with demands from local populations. How do you deal with the demands from a nation and internationally? We have to take on board climate change. We have to do some fundamental changes to the way we produce electricity, the way we drive, the way we heat our own homes. That's partly government, but partly down to individuals as well. And so with climate change, whilst it's all very well for us to pass laws and make pronouncements, we have to get the buy-in from local people on that, like any other policy. Yeah, I mean, the key to it is being the best constituency MHK I can, to be visible in Ramsey, to carry on working as a doctor in Ramsey, which I am, admittedly on to a lesser extent with the stuff I've been being dragged down into government with, but to be there for the people who voted me in, that has to be key. But there are some key policies that need to come through. As I said, the area plan for the north and redeveloping the north and providing those opportunities for people there is really, really important. We'll have to see what happens to the marina, and then on a more national scale, one of the other things I've been involved with is obviously drug law reform and looking to see if we can really get that done by the end of this administration, particularly in terms of medicinal cannabis. We can free that legislation up. We can get a much better system here for those people who I know are using it legally and dreading being arrested, but actually it really helps them, and also creates that atmosphere that the Isle of Man is different. We do our own thing. We do the right thing.